so far.
Yeah.
Parish now, yes.
Well, I'm also quite young for keeping Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the the monthly parish council meeting. Not the annual one yet. First of all, we'll open public session, and just a few words from Miles of thank you for the weekend, if you would like, Miles, regarding the skate park.
As most of you might know, we have a membership for some of the younger kids into the skate park. And when they do 3 community events like litter picking or raising money for other charities in the village, we give them a stamp on their membership card, and when they get 3 we reward them. And then finally enough of them have earned 3 stamps, and we took them down to Peterborough on the youth service bus, and we treated them to something called, it was a Adrenaline Alley, which is one of the biggest skate parks that I've ever seen in my entire life, as a reward. And we had a minibus full of them, and I've never been so proud of Anston kids in my entire life. We didn't have any issues whatsoever. All of them supporting one another in tricks, in helping them up when they've fallen down. They're all grandson, bless them, they're all making him wear his kneecaps and things like that. And I'd just like to say that we should all be proud of his Anston kids and keep them supporting the skate park, keep them trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you. We must thank the skate park group for doing a good job. They're really working hard at this. They've got the bit between the teeth and they intend getting where they're going to. B, allow any questions relating to Anston Parish Council Recreation Ground, which will be relayed.
Use the microphone and speak a little bit slower, please.
Mrs. Williams isn't here. Right. To allow questions related to Anston Parish Recreation Ground, which will be relayed to the charity. Any questions about the charity line? Yes, Sandra.
On behalf of the charity, would the council confirm in writing the decision that was made earlier tonight?
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, charity will come there then.
Thank you.
To allow representations regarding planning applications within the civil parish of Anston to be considered later in the meeting.
Yes, thank you, Chairman.
Yes? Yeah?
It's 9-1, list 8, item 0174. Okay?
That's fine. Would you like to ask a question now, or would you like to leave it till we get to that part? It is on the agenda later on.
Well, I'll ask the question and then you've got full information when
Okay.
you're discussing it. Sorry. This planning application, it clearly shows that more than half of this proposed development will be on green belt. There has been no consultation on this proposed new development, as there was on the previously proposed development. Does the parish council agree that it should object to this proposed development on these grounds?
I can't answer for the parish council. That will come later on in the.
That's the question.
Later on in the. Right. Okay. So, yeah. It's not really a question, it's a representation on the plan.
Yes, I know that, but nevertheless, that's what I'm looking for.
Right. Mrs. Sadler.
Do you want the question now?
It's a short one, yeah.
I want to know in
I'm
what...
planning. I'm planning.
On planning? Oh no, sorry.
Okay.
I'm a bit previous.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, are there any questions from members on the question and freedom? 0174.
Well, we've had one question. And I've asked the clerk to put in the members' packs your full presentation. So the presentation that you wanted to give, which we can't do, is in the pack for everybody to look at. Okay, and it will be discussed later on list 8A, number 9 on the agenda. Okay.
Excuse me, Chairman, will the public have a chance to have a look at that then?
You can have my copy if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Anything more? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
When do you want any representations about this?
Well, you can. I've put it in the pack with everybody to inform everybody. We'll ask you any questions when we get to that part on the agenda. Okay.
But
Yes.
can I make it a bit more clear?
Yes. Yes.
Right, can I make it a bit more clear?
Well,
What's actually happening at the moment is we have an item on the agenda that allows members of the public to make representations on any planning application. That's the stage we're at now. Later on in the meeting, the parish council will discuss all the planning applications put before us. So at that point, members of the public are not allowed to speak. So if you're going to do a representation, it has to be done now.
but if I choose to ask you a question for clarity later, I will do so.
We don't normally forward that covers you.
It has to do with anybody. The chairman's allowed to ask anybody any advice at any time.
That's all right. Everybody,
Right.
Chair,
Yeah.
however, I do think if the proposers want to make a short, you should hear that.
Well, you can, I'll just say you can.
It's part of the private council that.
It's part of
And
the...
now, I don't, can't
That's what this is
represent
for,
now.
isn't it?
Well, it does say...
We've got a full presentation.
Not full. We haven't got time for a full
No.
presentation.
But you can,
But that's why I've given it you in the pack, so that you can all be aware of what the application is now. But we can come back to them and ask questions when it comes to that part of the agenda, to make it easier.
If that's all right, Chair, I'm happy to do a very short presentation at that point without...
You can.
At that point,
Yeah, I'm going to stand on a point of order. I'm still on a point of order.
yeah.
I'm sorry, the gentleman, do you live in Anston?
No, I don't live in Anston, but I know Anston very well.
There's a rule that at these meetings...
Chair, could I stand at a point of order? On a point of order, our standing orders say quite clearly that any councillor
Excuse me, Chair, why is he allowed to speak over me?
raising a point of order will name the standing order that he's referring
He's
to.
raised the point of order and he's going to tell you what the point of what the code of conduct. Yours is not a point of order.
Just excuse me, I rose first on a point of order.
No, you haven't said what's the point of order.
Right, am I going to be allowed to speak?
What's your point of
Right,
order?
am I going to be allowed to speak?
If you tell what your point of order is.
We cleared this up last week.
Councillor Thornton finish his question up before he was so quiet.
Don't start asking the
Councillor Thornton, would you
Right.
tell me what the point of order is?
We cleared this situation up last meeting. I asked what the correct protocol was for points of order.
Yeah.
And you've confirmed that when a member stands up,
Yeah.
nobody else is to interrupt.
Unless you...
And it's happened again by the same
Stuart,
person. Every time I speak,
Stuart,
he stands up.
Stuart, you're
You
entitled to stand
You
up.
don't do anything about it.
Stuart, but you have not stated
Right.
what the point of order is.
Right.
Which rule is being
Right.
broken?
Did you ask him that question? No, you
You
didn't.
didn't get a chance to say it. You've
No,
shared
no,
that.
you didn't ask him the question.
Right, so give us a point of order.
The point of order I'm standing on is an explanation.
Is what?
Is an explanation. And I'm clarifying the point to the gentleman.
Chair,
No, you
could I stand?
Me.
Stuart,
I'm standing up to him.
Stuart, you cannot explain something to somebody else. It only on a previous speech that you have personally made. So, right, Ian, what's your point of order?
My point of order,
I'm standing here to get heard.
please,
Yeah, it's all right, carry on, Ian.
I realise that there are people in here who don't abide by rules, but our
Ian, can I give you a point of order?
yes, my point of order is 44. A councillor raising a point of order shall identify the standing order when he considers there's been breach. In other words, unless Councillor Thornton identifies what he's talking about as a breach of standing order, he has no right to claim that he's rising on a point of
Yes,
order.
Captain. And if this was made clear to you last week, last month.
I'm not allowed to speak because what's just happened there is only half of the standing order has been read out. The explanation I was going to make to you, sir, was that because it wasn't pointed out clearly. Because you're not a member of Anston Parish, we have a rule that you're not allowed to speak. Only people who are resident in Anston are allowed to speak, and therefore, I'm sorry, but we won't be able to make a full representation. It took a long time to come out, but I got there eventually. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Stuart, you are wrong, in fact, because this section is for anybody, not just for residents of Anston. This section, and anyway, I did read out to you, and it says, a personal explanation shall be confined to some material, part of a former speech made by him, and you have not made a
I
speech.
spoke earlier on.
You didn't speak about this.
You need to chair the meeting rather than getting...
You need to try. Let's settle down.
I wouldn't even start.
He mixed up as he goes along. That's why I need the camera.
Through the... Have you all finished on that?
I've had a question.
This planning?
Yeah,
Yes, go.
I would like to hear that representation from these people. As a member of Anston Public, I'd like to know what's happening. You know, and
Well, it'll...
I think public should hear.
Yeah, you'll find out later on the agenda.
And if this chap's here to represent them people, what's the difference with somebody representing me or him or anybody else?
You'll find out later on in the agenda.
Surely this is the time for the representation.
Yeah, members of the public aren't allowed to speak later on.
Yeah, because they're not allowed to speak in the meeting, so now.
Helen, I've told these people how I asked them to present things
So
later
you're going to
on.
allow to, you
Yes.
will suspend standing orders, you're
Yeah,
allowed
but
to
not
speak,
now.
okay.
Right, any more questions on Anston by Anston parishioners?
On Anston.
Yeah,
Is this me?
Anston.
I want to know what
Yeah.
these are for here.
Marilyn Boyd.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question in relation to an item that's on the agenda
Yeah.
with regard to access around the green.
Yeah.
And I live at number 8, the green,
Yeah.
and in 2010 our solicitors contacted the council and asked for the council to acknowledge a right of way to our property. Now, it's gone on now 4.5 years, and I would like to ask the council, what is the delay on acknowledging that right of way, and when will it be likely to be solved? Thank you.
Chair, can I come in just quickly there? I'd like to just right. Can I refer you to one of the letters that we've had off the solicitor? The solicitor is implying, and I've been open and honest about this, the solicitor is basically saying to us that we shouldn't be discussing this particular item in open session. He says it's not helpful.
Could I speak again?
I'm not bothered if it is discussed. What I'm saying, we've had advice from the solicitor.
Is it all right if I speak
Yes,
again?
Mr. Boyd.
We came to the last parish council meeting. Well, we saw it on the internet, and so has our solicitor. And Mr. Thornton, Councillor Thornton, clearly stated that he had a personal interest in this matter. What I would also like to know is, if this is a matter between the council and number 8, the Green, what personal interest could Mr. Thornton have?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to explain why I made a personal declaration. You know why I made a personal declaration.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Thornton, I don't.
I'm a personal friend of number 10.
But the matter is not between number 10 and number 8.
No.
You don't understand.
When we sit down the table and discuss things, we have to be as open and transparent as possible. And there's certain rules and regulations that if we have an interest in something, i.e. I'm friends with your neighbour, I have to declare that publicly so people like yourself know that when I speak, I have an interest in that particular item.
But why would you have an interest in a matter? I can understand your interest. I can understand your interest, Mr. Thornton, between the council and number 8, because we're asking the council to acknowledge the right of way which has clearly been defined with the bollards and that we've used for 27 years ourselves, and previous owners before us have used it. And I can quite clearly understand, with respect, your interest on the council. Now, the matter is between the council and myself and my husband and our property. So what personal interest would you have in that?
I'm a friend of your next door.
But that's not what I'm asking, Mr. Thornton.
I'm trying to... Right.
Well,
so
tell me what...
Asking.
Right, well, what is the interest of number 10 in us having access?
Right, the whole context of access revolves round, in your documentation, revolves round the access to number 10 that was achieved through a court case. That court case involved the person, number 10, who is a personal friend of mine. That's why I'm obliged to make a personal declaration that I have a personal interest.
But there were independent items within the deed that clearly stated that was clearly to do with number 8. But my question is, why is it taking 4.5 years? There obviously must be some major objection that we don't know about.
It is later on the agenda.
That we should know about. And I would like to know what that is.
Mrs.
And how
Boyd,
it's likely to
could
go down.
I wasn't here at the meeting. Sit down, please.
Thank you.
I wasn't here at the meeting when this was considered last time. I am well aware that this has dragged on for far too long. My own view, and I have read the legal documents in here, Tierney and Co. say quite clearly, it will be discussed later, they see no reason why we cannot expedite this matter. And that is the way, subject to other debate around the table, that I will be voting tonight. We seem to take an age over things that should be dealt with, all right, sensibly and in depth, but it shouldn't take 4.5 years. Particularly when we granted, this council granted a right of access to those people who live on the north side of the green.
Thank you.
Any further questions from Anston Parish? Because we're running out of time. Right.
I'll just say that my access at number 10...
Sorry, Hillary. Sorry, Hillary. It's not open debate time. You've had your question. Right. To allow one question per elector on a topic which is rights and responsibility, and through the chairman to allow ward members to address. Well, my question has to be answered, please, by somebody from the Borough Council. I would like to know, and I'm speaking now as an Anston resident, not as chairman of the Parish Council, and I don't intend to go and sit down there and say it.
Right, just understand me before you start.
Point of order.
When I've been at these meetings before, I've tried to ask a question as a member of the public, and I've been told I can't do that unless I go sit in the audience.
Right. Okay, I'll ask the question as the chairman of the Parish Council. Okay. Can any of the Borough Councillors tell me where the 6,500 Romers are living in Rotherham? Can they tell me who's paying for the rent? Can they tell me who's paying for them? And can they tell me what incentive Rotherham Borough's had to take all these people?
That's not to do with Anston.
It's section here for more ward members. Anybody like to answer it, or do you all want to say nothing and find out?
I'll answer it, John. You actually missed one off on the question that you sent to me by email.
Yeah.
You put where have all the houses appeared from to accommodate them when there is a shortage for our own young people.
Yeah.
So that's one part of the question you made up. I've answered you already. I said I will chase it up for you.
Yeah, thanks.
The appropriate officers that were a councillor. Perhaps Councillor Burton's not here tonight, unfortunately, because she was an advisor to the Communities and Cohesion Cabinet member. I think Councillor Ray wasn't sure.
The reason I ask you is because
they may have more knowledge than I do.
I've had people come to me with concerns, that's all.
Well, I think, Chair, in the name of progress, given that you've given Councillor Jepson the opportunity to see the question beforehand, I think Councillor Jepson's probably best taking it.
Well, as I said, I had no option to the Secretary was a email, but I did reply to John. I would ask the other Borough Council as well to use the best endeavours to try and find out.
I did say that
this has been asked before and not answered.
You're the only person that's had the question.
Well, I did ask the Chair.
Right, I think we're there. Right.
Is that the end of the...
John?
On behalf of the Independent Party, John?
Pardon? I did ask if anyone, if nobody said there was any more questions. Yes, Sam.
I want to know what Mr Beavers, the independent person, is doing here tonight. Is he representing our MBC Council, or is he here as a private person?
I don't know why he's here, he just decided to come.
Perhaps he would like to reply.
I happily will later.
Okay.
Don't live in Anston.
Right.
Chairman.
Right.
Progress, please, Chair. I'll pass that email question on to the other councillors.
Okay.
Another question, Mayor.
Yeah.
Chairman. Mr Lewis has a question.
20 minutes.
Mr Chairman, the police are not allowed to come into council meetings or speak at council meetings. Can you tell me if they've been invited or not?
Well, I've not invited them.
You don't need them, right?
I don't need to invite you to it. It's a public meeting.
No.
Yes, it is.
You look at the law. It says the police cannot walk into council meetings. They cannot speak. All the time they can come in council meetings if they have been invited.
Right, well, I'm inviting you to step in now.
Right, then can you tell me then who's paying for it? Is the parish, is the borough, or is it coming from national? Who's paying?
If only I could speak, maybe I could answer that. But of course, I'm not allowed, am I?
Right, we'll move on. We'll close the public session and we'll move on to number one.
Thank you very much. Have me answer your question afterwards when I'm allowed to speak.
Right, okay. To disclose members' interest on any item to be discussed? No. To identify...
Yes, Chair. There will be an item later on about how's it go? An application for Dinning High School, and I declare that I'm a governor.
Okay. To identify items which the press and public may be excluded. Yes, Stuart.
I think I better declare a person interested in item 7, which
Yeah,
is
okay.
adjudication against them.
Item number 7, okay.
That's the signature.
Right, okay.
Chairman, are we now identifying items which the press and public may be excluded? I think item 7, if it's discussed, and possibly item 10 too.
Right, we've got a proposal, yes.
Can I just ask, what about item 14.2? Or are you quite happy for that to be discussed in public?
Item 14.2 will be added on to 9. We'll change it to 9 because it's all...
So you move that to 9?
We're moving it to 9.
Or 7? What do you mean 7?
Sorry, it'll be 7, 6.
7, 6.
Can I propose, and I'm looking at Mrs. Boyd now, can I...
What Steve suggests? 7 and...
10 too.
Part 2.
We're just identifying the items now. We vote on them at the time that you vote on.
Didn't you move that already?
Yes,
I'm going to make it absolutely clear that I see no reason whatsoever why either of those items should be moved to public session. It's a private session, I beg your pardon. They are in the public domain and they need to be discussed in public.
I answered the question, didn't you?
Yeah, all right. Yes.
I'm going to suggest, through openness and honesty, I'm going to read what the solicitor said, because I believe the item relating to the brief should be done in private session. And I'll read what the solicitor said.
So we're not waiting now. Wait till we get to it. Wait till we get to it. Right.
Mrs. Boyd is obviously thinking I'm doing something, and I want to be clear and open and transparent as possible. Why I don't think we should discuss it in public. I did nothing.
Mr. Thornton, I didn't say you were doing anything underhand. I wanted to know why it was a personal matter.
He's talking about he's a friend of your neighbour. So number 4, to confirm the minutes of the meeting of the Parish Council on Monday the 16th of February. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Can I propose please? Propose, seconder. Every seconder receiving the All in favour, please show. All in favour, please show. Right. Thank you. To receive the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting on the 16th of February and the 4th of March. That's just to receive them. Rose, seconded. All in favour of receiving them? Right, number 7. To consider the breach of the code by a member. I've had a letter from the Borough Council solicitor advising me in a certain procedure. I don't intend to go through all the judgment because it's irrelevant to the point that I'm supposed to make. All it
Chair, are we
says...
voting to move this into private session? or
No,
not?
no, you haven't had a second. You haven't had a second for that.
I thought we were
Quite obviously we'll move it in.
voting to identify. I thought now we move to
Well,
the item.
has anybody any objections to this being held now?
I have, because I believe it's libelous.
So seconded, please. You've got a seconded. Right, all those in favour of not having this here, but having it in private and putting it in private session. So this is against putting it into private session. All those in
Sorry,
favour.
I'm not clear now.
Against moving it to private. Yeah. All right, so vote for putting it into. So if you vote against this, it won't go in. So all those in favour of putting it in private. 3. All those against.
Can I have a recorded vote, please, Chair?
Yes, you can.
This is where this stands, Stuart, in the back. Look at them, all lined up with the daggers.
Councillor Baker?
For.
Councillor Beck?
Against.
Councillor Bridges?
Against.
Councillor Brindley?
Against.
Councillor Crowther? Councillor Dalton? Councillor Ireland? Councillor Jarvis? Councillor Jepson? Councillor St John?
Against.
Councillor Thornton?
I'm not voting.
Councillor Ward?
Right, that will not be put into private, so we'll move on. Now, this communication that I've had, as I said, I don't intend to read through the whole thing because I understand that somebody's still going to argue about the stuff as it's being put. So I'm going to give you the result that's been given to me. Having considered the evidence of the panel, it was satisfied that on the 29th of April, Councillor Thornton assaulted Mr B. Brindley by slapping him on his face. The monitoring officer informed the panel that the paragraphs of the code which the allegations might relate to were treat others with respect, do anything which may cause the council to breach any of the equality duties, to bully anybody, or to do anything to compromise or likely to compromise the impartiality of those who work for or on behalf of the council. And you must not conduct yourself in a manner which could reasonably be regarded as bringing your office or authority to disrepute. The panel was satisfied that in assaulting Mr Brindley, the parish councillor's conduct did not treat him with respect and was seeking to bully him, which is in direct contravention of the code. The panel also was satisfied that Parish Councillor Thornton's aggressive behaviour at the annual meeting brought both the Office of Parish Councillor Thornton and Anston Parish Council into disrepute. And then I've been asked to do certain things. The first one is report the findings of the Parish Council to the Parish Council for information. I've just done that. Right. The second one is to recommend to Rotherham Borough Council that the publication of this decision be in the local paper. That is out of my hands. That's been proceeded by the Borough Council. That's nothing to do with me. Right. 3. Recommend to the Parish Council that the Parish Councillor Thornton be removed from any or all of its committees or subcommittees, and the panel understands that this has already occurred. Apart from, we need to have a recommendation to fulfil all these requirements that somebody proposed that Councillor Thornton is... it's taken from the, what committee is it called? The facilities group. So anybody propose that he removed from the facilities?
Chair, could I give notice of a motion which will sum up what you're saying? Yeah. And if you like, I will move the resolution now. Okay?
Well, yeah, depends what it is.
Okay. Well, let me read it. This is why I'm amazed that this should be held in private. This council deplores the use of physical violence by Councillor Stuart Thornton against a member of the public following the annual parish meeting in April 2013. It further deplores the need by magistrates to bind over Stuart Thornton to keep the peace, and the recent findings of the Rotherham Standards Board that Councillor Thornton breached the member's code of conduct by assaulting a member of the public. And it goes on. about treating people with respect and so on, and he was seeking to bully.
Is this a proposal or a story you're reading out? You just said you made a proposal.
Is it a fairy story?
I'm giving notice of a resolution. Therefore, following the standard board hearings and findings, Anston Parish Council upholds Councillor Thornton's removal from all committees, subcommittees and working groups, which will include what you mentioned.
The thing is that this recommendation that I've got to do, in fact, splits all those things that you asked for.
No, but you have actually brought it to the council. I'm giving you a formal resolution on this. 1. Councillor Thornton freely and sincerely apologised to the members of the Anston Parish Council for his behaviour towards a member of the public and to them, and for the scurrilous accusations made against members of the Parish Council who proposed that he be removed from the council's committees and subcommittees after the incident. Apologises to the next available Anston Parish meeting and has that apology accepted. 3. Undertakes appropriate training, including anger management training, and agrees...
These leper councillors need extra training.
And agrees to the completion and outcomes of that training being reported to the RMBC monitoring officer, who ensures that all necessary risk assessments are completed before Councillor Thornton is allowed to resume full parish council duties. That Councillor Thornton remains suspended from the committees, etc., and is not allowed to represent the parish council on any outside bodies to whom the council sends delegates, representatives or observers until all of the requirements above are satisfied. And I'm happy to give this to the clerk.
We've got a seconder for that, but I would prefer it if you'd let me continue first to go through this.
I like to speak, Chair, as well.
It's recommending that the council formally censure Councillor Thornton. I've got a proposal for that. It's formally censured. Formally censured. Does anybody would like to propose that he be censured? It's a big, long thing. We're going to vote for each bit of its term first.
Right, Chair, let me just come in on this, Chair, because you've already had one proposal, and now you're going to go over the same again with another proposal. Make your mind up which proposal you're going to do.
But Stuart, if you'll just bear with me a minute, I'm trying to read them out now. These are the ones that...
So, are you accepting the proposal on the table from Councillor Sinton? No. Or are you going to do a whole new set of proposals?
I'm going to do these first, as I've got...
Right, so when do I get my right to reply?
Right. Recommend... Councillor Thornton, can somebody propose that he's formally censured?
Yes, I propose that.
Right, any seconded that? Any seconded? Right, all those in favour?
Can I have a recording vote, please?
Can we have any debate on this, Chair? Now,
Obviously, you're not allowed to do democracy around this time.
debate on it, John, not resign. Chair, are we going to be allowed any debate on this before we move to the bill?
If you speak up, yes.
Right, well, I think, quite frankly, we should disregard the...
Could you use the microphone, please, Stephen?
Given...
Use the mic, Steve, please.
Given that this was a serious criminal charge that was investigated by the police and I think taken forward by the CPS and the evidence laid before the courts did not convict on it. No, they did not. The courts did not convict on the evidence.
Don't get backdoor if you don't convict.
Don't forget,
That's
Steve.
my experience.
I think the RMBC can find him guilty of something that a magistrate court couldn't.
With the public, please be quiet. Let the councillor make a point. The thing is, Steve, I can supply your point, but you must remember that in the legal procedures, people are found not guilty in one court and then taken
to a higher court. Yes, yeah. To a higher court.
And all we're doing tonight is confirming or accepting the findings of the local council.
No, we're not. You're being asked to censure removal from
Yeah,
committees.
it's their recommendations, and are we going to do it, aren't we?
Yes.
Right.
I've got sent down for years.
It disregards and flies in the face of what the magistrates did. The magistrates did not find him guilty of what
Why did it bind you
of what was. He agreed to be bound over. There's a difference between agreeing to be bound over and being found in. No, it's not pleading guilty, Joe.
Because your husband was bound over on 2 counts. No, he wasn't. Yes, he was.
I assure you, you don't have...
Right, quiet please! We can't have any more of this shouting by the public. I have to shout to it myself here.
As a magistrate, you should know that you don't have to be guilty to be bound over.
Right, quiet!
So you're now making false statements in
Councillor
public.
Thornton be formally censured. All those in favour, we've been asking now.
Councillor Baker.
Against.
Councillor Beck. 4. Councillor Bridges. 4. Councillor Brindley.
4.
Councillor Crowther. 4. Councillor Dalton. 4. Councillor Ireland.
I vote for, and I'm not Labour.
Councillor Jones. Against. Councillor Jepson. Councillor Sidney.
4.
Councillor Thornton.
Right, so just let's go back on some here, Chairman. When am I, excuse me, when am I going to be allowed a right to reply, or is this just another kangaroo court that's going on? When am I going to get the right to reply? This is just another kangaroo court. And, you know, Mr. Beaver's sat there and he's witnessing the bullying of me that's carrying on, and he chooses not to do nothing about it.
Stuart, again.
I'm not voting in this.
Right,
Councillor Wardle.
So now, we've got to formally propose that he's removed from this facilities group.
Can I just,
Wait a second.
can I just speak on this?
Yes, you can.
I'll second it, so you've got a debate.
Yeah, right, so you got 3 minutes.
Right, thank you. It's awkward this one because I would have thought the facilities group is more based on the charities, since it's the charities building. It's only a working group. There's no sort of like set minutes or anything like that for you, and it's actually on behalf of the charities buildings, not the parish council. It feeds back to the parish council. So I think that is a separate entity, that facilities working.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment?
The comment I've, sorry, Mark. The comment I've made is that I cannot believe that Clive is not voting for the censure motion and the removal. In other words, Clive, and I understand your point about the charity and the council, but I honestly believe that you should stand up and say that that behaviour was unacceptable. That's not what you do.
Can I just reply to that?
Well, no, sorry, in the rules of debate.
To Councillor Jarvis and Councillor Baker.
Councillor Jarvis.
It's true, yes.
Councillor Jarvis.
Include them in there,
Good, lads, make your point.
Yes, is the ducking stool going to be put in the back at the bottom? The ducking stool.
I think you should try more serious than that.
Can I just have an example?
Yes, John, it is.
The right to reply without interruption.
Yeah, well, if you've got something sensible.
All right, must be very sensible.
Where do we finish with the facilities?
But Stuart, I might add that it can't be in contradiction of what they found in the committee. It has nothing to do with us.
I'm going to read the statement.
That's nothing to do with us. We are talking about the actions that we've been instructed to do. Right. Right. Yes. All those in favour, if you want to record a vote for this.
Recorded vote.
Right, recorded vote.
When you get the microphones round and nobody can hear you. Till you shout.
We're voting to not let it go on the facilities. All those in favour?
He's annoyed because he's asked on at least 3 occasions for them to use the microphones, and they've ignored him.
So, excuse me, are you running this meeting or is the chairman running it?
I do apologise if you can't hear, but I think that the public has something to blame for the noise that you can't hear.
Could you use the microphones, please?
I've got the microphone here.
what about everybody else?
Councillor Baker.
Against.
Councillor Beck. Councillor Bridges. Councillor Brindley. Councillor Crowther. Councillor
Another
Dalton.
sham independent.
Councillor Ireland.
They're all sham.
Councillor Jarvis.
Against.
Councillor Jepson.
Backstabbing shams.
Councillor St John. Councillor Thornton. Abstain. Councillor Wardle.
Only they're a lot more dangerous than that.
That's carried.
What did you do when he in St John badly abused Mr Dickens?
Nothing.
Right.
What's good in newsletter, this?
Absolute total disgrace.
What's in newsletter?
Never mind that.
Let's talk in public, see.
Recommend,
Public voting him on, then see what they've been doing for us.
recommend that the parish council arrange training.
Excuse me, Chair.
Recommend.
Excuse me, Chair. Why are you not asking that member of the public to be quiet when you're asking all the rest of us?
Because it was just taken.
Right, this is what you're on.
One room for one lot, one room for the
I've done that. Oh yes. To reaffirm that the council's previous resolution be moved from all committees, subcommittees and from all outside the committee, just to reaffirm our previous findings.
Can I just,
Agreed.
can I just speak on that, Chair? I think we should specifically say the area of assembly there, because Councillor Foster has been attending the area of
I
assembly.
know, it's specific.
Anybody can go to the area of assembly.
Yeah, but not as a councillor.
The thing is, in the area assembly, Councillor Thornton is quite at liberty to go, but he isn't at liberty to claim that he is representing Anston Parish Council.
So what's this got to do with what we're going through now? You're now just gone on to a completely different subject. I think you have a problem chairing these meetings, you know.
You have a problem as well, Stuart, I'm afraid, so will you be quiet?
No, don't start with you.
Right, so we're going to...
Stuart Thornton was not at the annual meeting as a councillor. Have you taken that into consideration? Or are you too busy with your backstabbing? He was not there as a councillor. He stated at the beginning he was not there as a councillor. He is not. He stated he was not.
And nobody told me that that's got a name. A very valid point.
I'm afraid you can't make your points at this stage.
Yeah.
Councillor Baker.
You know, Brindley.
What we've got to do
Reaffirm.
Well, she's denied it.
Against.
Councillor Beck. Councillor
Somebody
Bridges.
said that and she denied it.
Councillor Crowther.
Obviously, he's not told her.
Councillor Ireland. Councillor Jarvis. Against. Councillor Jepson. Councillor St John.
Yes, there you go. Except when they get the knives out.
Councillor Wardle.
No wonder the commissioners are in.
Right. The last thing that they've proposed here is that the parish council arrange training for parish council Thornton.
Can I speak on this, Chair?
I've thought about this myself. Yeah, I can only think
That's going to be interesting.
The other members that have been found against by the Standards Committee, had their training yet?
this is recommendations. Clive, Steve, all I'm doing is giving you the recommendations of the committee. I'm not making any judgment. I'm giving you the recommendations.
I'm just saying, before we arrange for Councillor Thornton to go on any training, we've got to make sure that the other councillors that have been asked to go on training, go on.
When they're being asked to go on training, I'm sure they will.
No, Judy Dalton never went on training.
Would you please stop intervening?
I'm giving you the information.
I don't need the information from you because I don't.
You need some from somebody, John.
Well, I don't need anything from
Chair,
Right.
can I make an observation? I don't quite understand what Councillor Steve Baker's inferring there. I'm inferring, Councillor Steve, in the explanation that other councillors have been asked to go on training because they've been found guilty of misdemeanours under the Code of Conduct, and I don't think they've been on it yet. Well, I stand corrected if they have. Right, okay. I suspect that Councillor Baker needs correcting because this is, in my considerable experience, this is the first time that we've actually had a ruling by the standards board or the panel that a member has actually breached the code of conduct. For example, I know that the playground bullies want to shout over me and accuse me of various things, but I can tell you, in all honesty, I have never been near the standards board. And at Judy, through the chair, I do not believe that you have been found guilty of any offence.
I have not.
But I have attended training with other councillors.
I can clarify if people wish. There was an item where I was asked to take further training, which I did do. In fact, as it happened, the solicitor had actually represented the wrong set of minutes to the board, to the panel. So, in fact, there was a mistake. But I undertook the training because, in any case, any training that you undertake can only be beneficial to you as an individual. We've also attended the training here. We've had training from outside agencies and from Mr. Beavers, and I've attended all of those.
I might add at this stage that Councillor Thornton needn't go on any of these things if it suits him. We can't make him go on a training course, we can only recommend it.
Well,
so I don't know all the arguments about
training course. There's nothing wrong with it.
Unlike in St.
I thought I outgrew all this when I was at infant school in Middlesex.
You've not outgrown your smirking, have you?
I've got a proposal here that we take advice from the standards board as to what appropriate training is, because we're not talking about what appropriate training is. Would you please be quiet?
No, I won't.
Well, then that's it. Then I'm going to ask you to leave.
Don't shout at members of the public.
Right? All those in favour of asking the standard
Dominic will give an advice on how to do that.
So a recorded vote. So a recorded vote again, Chair.
Right. So we're asking the standard board to make a recommendation.
Well, if you sit in the rest and you think the chair's not chairing this meeting correctly, you should speak up loud and not just sit there and allow him to make a mess of the meeting. That's unfair to him.
May I speak? I have every respect for the councillors. Councillor Island's chairing. It's in the face of adverse circumstances that he's attempting to do so. I was attempting to move a motion there, had the hand up in order to move that motion. I think it's been seconded.
And he's making derogatory remarks about the chairman.
Who's made it?
You turn that.
No,
and
I
you
did
go
not.
right. Well, I'm not going to argue with you.
I am sorry, but Councillor Thornton's hearing differently from what mine.
Right, I'm going to have the vote.
Councillor Baker.
Against.
Councillor Beck.
For.
Councillor Bridges.
For.
Councillor Brindley. Councillor Crowder. Councillor Dalton. Councillor Highland. Councillor Jarvis. Against. Councillor Jepson. Councillor Sidran.
For.
Councillor Thornton.
I'm not voting.
Councillor Warder.
So, why have you just made a derogatory comment when a member of the public speaks?
Right.
Yeah.
Can I please have some order? As far as I'm concerned, we've now satisfied the...
Right, Chair, can I have my right to reply?
You've not been accused of anything.
No, you've just gone through it.
Stuart, can I just say that you had your opportunity to put your case to the panel. You never turned up.
You've just put me through.
You never turned up.
All right, now you're speaking. You just put me through a disciplinary process. I asked you if I could have the right to reply when it finished, and you said yes. So I'd like the right to reply.
Right.
I'm going to read a statement now, and I don't expect to be interrupted when I read my statement.
Read now.
My statement is, on the 29th of April 2013, at a meeting of the electors of Anston, I was subjected to intense verbal abuse and threatening behaviour by Mr Brindley, husband of Councillor Joyce Brindley. Mr Brindley, who was clearly out of control, then assaulted me 3 times. Will you not interrupt me, please?
Yeah. Stuart.
Mr Brindley, who was clearly out of control, then
Stuart, this is being heard by the committee.
Listen, this is my right. This is my right to reply. This is my right to reply.
No right to reply for us.
You see, this isn't a kangaroo court where I've just been subject to a disciplinary process. And I've sat patiently while I've just seen a fracas of a farce going on, and now I'm not allowed to reply. I can read a statement if I can, please.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm going to read out the
Can I ask
statement.
you a question?
You can ask me a question,
Why did
please.
you not go to the hearing?
I walked out of the first hearing in disgust, and I told the monitoring officer it was a kangaroo court. And this statement will go somewhere to show why it was a kangaroo
Why did
court.
you not go to the second one?
Right, I didn't go to the second one because I walked out of the first one. Now, are you going to carry on questioning me? Are you going to carry on questioning me on a process that's already been decided?
You've had your chance to it.
No, I've asked to make a statement at the council. So I should be able to make a statement. I'll carry on if you don't mind. Mr. Brindley, who was clearly out of control, then assaulted me 3 times. In self-defence, I pushed Mr. Brindley away. Mr. Brindley was charged with aggressive behaviour and assault, 2 charges. Because I admitted to pushing Mr. Brindley away in self-defence, I was charged with assault, 1 charge. At a court hearing, not trial, both parties agreed to be bound over for the sum of £50 for each charge. Brindley bound over for £50 for each charge. There was no trial, there was no conviction of either parties, it was an agreement with the court, there was no criminal record. 4 Labour councillors who did not witness the event, Councillor Bridges, Dalton, Stonebridge and Wardle, all made a complaint to the Standards Committee. Statements made contained false and misleading information. Councillor Bridges made a complaint, excuse me Chair, you have to ask him to stop interrupting me. Councillor Bridges made a complaint but made no statement. The committee also took statements from 2 friends of Councillor Dalton, Mr. Kavanagh, a parish council contractor, and Mrs. June Thomas. Both these persons also made false and misleading statements.
How dare you say that, you lying man!
Well, you asked me to be quiet. You asked me to be quiet. Both these persons also made false and misleading statements. None of my witnesses were approached by RMBC to make a statement. At the Standards Subcommittee hearing, I walked out in disgust. It was not a fair and just process. In effect, the hearing was a kangaroo court. I have contacted the commissioners at RMBC to begin an appeal. I will be making complaints against the following persons: Councillors Dalton, Stonebridge, Wardle. Further complaints will be lodged against RMBC employees, Head of Legal Services Mrs Collins and Mr Fletcher. A further complaint will be made against Councillor Sims of RMBC. I will also be asking for a review of the role of the independent person in the dealings of Anston. There was no assault. I acted in self-defence at all times in response to an onslaught of verbal threats and repeated assault. And what you've seen again is a continued bullying around this table.
We're giving you leeway to refute.
I was never asked to make a wrote a complaint, but I was not asked to make a statement.
You have just publicly called me a liar, so you'll be getting another solicitor now.
Yes. He's going to put his hand up.
Right, can we move on, please?
Chair, will you ask Mr Kavanagh to stop making threatening gestures?
I only asked you if you were threatening me.
No, I never threatened you at all. I just said if you want to carry on making your rights, make them.
Right, we're going to move on. The next thing, wait for
part of the statement that, or the motion that, part of the motion that Councillor St John moved was to ask Councillor Thornton to freely and sincerely apologise, not only to the members of Anston Parish Council, but to members of the public, and I believe that we should continue to ask him to do that. So I would like to move a motion that we ask Councillor Thornton to apologise to both the parish council members and to members of the public who are at the annual parish meeting. I do not believe a lot of what Councillor Thornton is saying.
We've not yet voted on, we didn't actually vote whether we were going to ask, because we got interrupted, ask the standards board to recommend to us what training we should do. No, we didn't vote.
So I'm going to record a vote, Chair.
Yeah, you can have it, yes. Yeah, you have a vote on that. Training, we have voted on that. So this is the apologies. Right, we're going to propose it and second it. Just to apologise for the problem. Is this a bill?
Did Councillor Brindley apologise?
Councillor Baker?
Did she
Again.
apologise to
Councillor Beck? Councillor Bridges? Councillor Brindley?
He's just called me a liar in public, and he's going to get the solicitor's letter. I'm sorry. I'm not having it.
Councillor Jarvis?
Again.
Councillor Jepson? Councillor
It's
Cindy?
libel.
For.
Councillor Thornton?
I'm not voting again.
Councillor Ward?
So just hang on a minute, Chair. I think I've just been asked if I'd make an apology. Let me make it quite clear. I've just made some very serious allegations against councillors who, for the last 20 odd minutes, have been sat in adjudication and voted on me, and not one of them declared an interest. Integrity? What integrity?
Right.
I will not be apologising to the public because I've done absolutely nothing wrong. I was physically and verbally attacked. You see again, Chair, I'm now making a speech. This council, all I can do is make noises.
Still let the public decide.
You've got no control over this meeting whatsoever. I will not be making an apology for something that I
Not making an
haven't done.
apology. Right. So
You
we'll move
did.
on to the. We'll move on to
You're a
the.
liar and you'll regret telling lies about me. I'm telling you now, mate.
I will show you the
You are a liar.
Chair.
You are a liar.
Is it not interesting that most of the members of the public are shouting in favour of Councillor Thornton? The one person I've heard clearly is the one who's actually made a statement and has accused him of lying, not for the first time.
And I'd like you to
Councillor Thornton has a very hazy grip on reality.
Now you're insulting me in public.
He has, I'm not insulting you, I'm saying... Right, can we move on, please? Can we move on? Can we move on?
What happened to publish statement?
Rothenburg Council, a report to we've had...
If you want to threaten me, speak to my solicitor.
Stuart,
I've got a solicitor.
Stuart, if you want to threaten me, speak to my solicitor.
I'll speak to you.
right,
I will publish the statement.
right. Can we please move on?
Can you please make a note that he's just called me a liar? I won't sit down on that paper. No, you said it, a liar.
Through the chair, I'm quite clear that Mrs Thomas was accused of lying in a statement.
Yes, please
And I'm
put that
prepared
down.
to sign an affidavit to that
It's
effect.
on camera, so you don't need to.
Fine.
It's on camera, you don't need to.
Let's move progress because it's going to be incredibly boring.
Well, without, if Mr Beaver's still here,
That is an
help on this,
amendment.
please. We've got a report
What can I
here.
do about that?
We want to move on, please.
We've got a report here.
We need our tea.
We've got a report here that went to the Standards Committee last week, and it was a paper describing what could possibly happen to Anston. Or
Have we started with an item now?
we've gone on to item which has been moved from 14 back to number 9.
Mr Beavis wanted to speak, wasn't it?
I've just had, still, you don't listen.
No, he asked
I said, is Mr. Beaver still here? Would he help me out with
Mr. Beaver says, can I speak now? And you just carried on talking over the
Yeah,
top.
I did hear it for all you lots making around. Mr. Beavers, can you come? Would you like to come forward? Would you like the microphone?
I don't think I need one.
What I'd like you to do is to explain to people the implications of this thing. What could
Well,
happen?
there needs to be a preamble first, and what I would invite people to do is to let me finish. That's all I'm asking you to do. Because I'm not going to get involved in an argument. I'm past that. It's now 8:30 at night, and I don't want to get into an argument this late at night. We've all had enough.
Yeah.
I need to speak firstly about I shall not speak at all about what's happened as far as you're concerned. There's a reason for that. The reason for that, let me finish.
Can I just ask a question? For those of us who don't know who you are.
I'm sorry, perhaps people don't.
Can the chair tell us who this gentleman is?
Yes, Mr. Beavers, yeah.
Can the chair tell me who this gentleman is and why he's been allowed to speak?
Yes, he will tell you himself.
I'm the independent person for Rotherham. I was appointed as one of 2 independent people for Rotherham under the Localism Act 2011. When the Standards Board changed, Standards for England changed, and it brought all the decisions locally, the Secretary of State insisted that there be an independent person or people brought into each authority to act independently. I've been independent person here now for, I don't know, maybe 2.5 years, maybe a bit longer. And I came along here initially about 18 months ago, maybe a little longer, when
I apologise for that, Mr.
No, you don't need to, because I've seen it all before so often over this last 18 months. The reason I came in the first place, because this authority was, for one reason or another, dysfunctional. Whether it was because of these people, whether it was because of these people, whether it was a mixture of all you people, or whether it was Doncaster Metropolitan Borough Council, whatever it was, the result was, and you all know, that this authority was dysfunctional. My position in law is that if there is a complaint made against an elected member, either a parish councillor, a borough councillor, a paid mayor, then I have to be consulted. They will have to listen to what I have to say, and then they will make their minds up. They can choose to ignore me, because that's how it is. But they do have to hear what I have to say. I made a promise when I came here some time ago that I would do my level best to help you as an authority get out of the difficulties that you've got. I organised training, and I think with all of the councillors were there, I think. Most of them were there anyway. And we ran this training, and it was fine. I agreed to stay alongside the parish council for as long as it needed, in the hope that, collectively, we could be seen to be a cohesive group that would be good for the people of Anston, because that's why we are all here. I fulfil that promise. Not that I've been to every single meeting that the parish council's had, and I don't think you would expect me to. For 2 reasons. One, because I don't want to, and secondly, because I'm a volunteer, and I can only come when my time will allow me to come. I have been regularly, and I have, if you remember, we made an arrangement some time ago that a moratorium would be put in place to, as far as complaints were concerned, to enable us to cut through what was happening, to try to find a way through it all so we could operate as an effective council. During that period of the moratorium, everybody, well, almost everybody, was good to the word. That complaints didn't come in. And that was lovely. And we actually started to make some real progress, I think. And then what happened is they started again. To a point that, statistically, I don't think that anybody in here needs to feel particularly proud of what's happening, to be honest. And I'll tell you why. Not that I'm a member of the Standards Board, I'm not, and can't be. And if I could be, I wouldn't want to be. But I am invited to attend their meetings, not to vote, but to observe. And I've done just that. And at the last Standards Board meeting that took place towards the end of last week, statistically, I was kind of surprised what was happening. In the last 2.25 years, there have been 35 complaints emanating from this parish council, either councillor against councillor, public against councillor. 35, that is one every 3 weeks on average. In the last year, no, in just less than a year, the standards, sorry, I'll go back a bit. In the agenda for the last meeting of the Standards Board, it itemised all the complaints that were presently being considered. There were in fact 20 in total, each one of them separately identified, and each one of them was spoken about by the monitoring officer. And out of that 20, 11 of those related to Anston, and the other 9 related to everything else that's taking shape in Rotherham. So you can see where the focus is. The focus is here. And I have to say that the chairman of the Standards Board, not that he so much said it, but reading body chemistry, as we all can do these days, he was less than impressed with what was happening. And I heard somebody say, thank goodness the commissioners are in. Well, you perhaps haven't had the opportunity yet to read precisely what the remit of the commissioners is. Well, if you had, you would realise this, that the Standards Board for the local authority is outside of the remit of the commissioners. The commissioners will not become involved in the operation of the Standards Committee. That was what was reported to us by the monitoring officer, having consulted with the lead commissioner last week. So, if you're looking as the commissioners to be a cure-all, there won't be a cure-all from them, because they are focusing their attention, and I have to say it, on stuff which is very, very much more serious than this. And if we are using their time that you're paying for, to the tune on each one of them on average £800 a week, to look at stuff like this, you've then got to ask yourself, are you getting value for money as a local authority? And the answer is no, you're not. So the chances of the commissioners, any one of 5 of them, 2 of them are local and 3 of them aren't, becoming involved in this kind of work, I think you're going to have a disappointment when they actually start doing what they're doing. Well, you always have the opportunity to speak to the commissioners, of course you do, because the Secretary of State affords you that opportunity. But I have to say that having read the remit of what their remit is from Pickles, the Secretary of State, the Standards Committee isn't mentioned anywhere. So don't rely upon them. The position I'm in now is that I promised to you that I would stay with you through until Christmas of last year, and which is what I've done. I've done what I think I can reasonably do to try to help these people and you work together as a cohesive group. I'm not asking you to be on each other's Christmas card list. I'm not asking you to invite each other around for dinner. I'm asking you to be able to afford each other the dignity that a meeting like this demands. You might not like the colour of people's the state of whether they're Labour, whether they're Conservative, whether they're independent, whatever they are. In real terms, that doesn't matter a great deal. And it doesn't.
At Anston Parish Council.
What matters more than all of that is what this parish council is doing holistically for the people it represents, whatever colour you are. And the problems we're having here is that we are almost at civil war between one colour and the rest. And that's not right.
You're making a judgment that the public...
I'm not making a judgment. I make judgments in my professional life during the day. When I'm working in my time, I'm not making judgments, I'm offering observations.
You're making a judgment.
As far as I'm concerned, unless we as a group of people are prepared to meet each other halfway, and I said it 18 months ago and here I am saying it again, it won't work. And it won't work. You know that. You know that. It's almost as if people come sit down here and let the bear baiting begin. Isn't it? Is it correct?
Yeah, right.
Can I come in, Mr. Beavers?
You can in a minute. Why do you want bear baiting? It was prohibited 285 years ago.
Are you directing your thoughts to this side of the house?
I'm directing
my... You also direct your thoughts to that way.
I'm directing my thoughts to anybody that will listen.
You have been here, what? How long have you been coming, Mr. Beavers?
I've been coming about 18 months, maybe a bit
How many
longer.
times have you actually
I've been doing 20 years.
I've been to 11 meetings in total. Well, you can't, but that's true. I've been to 11, these people may tell you, I see them every time I come. I've been to meetings which I've met councillors separately, I've met members of the public separately, I've met them in the council authority, the local authorities buildings in Rotherham.
How many have you met, Mr. Beavers?
Pardon?
How many have you met in the offices? You're putting it across that you've actually met quite a few.
No, I haven't. I've just said I've met members of the public. I've not said quite a few. And that means there's more than one, which is correct.
It seems that these people are making judgment on your comments. You know,
No, we're asking for clarification, Kevin.
No, you're asking judgment.
No, we're asking for clarification.
What I'm wanting to... At the end of the day, if you want it to work, it'll work. If you want to continue to be berating each other over one thing or another, what will happen is it won't work. Now then, the Standards Board has suggested one of a number of things may happen. One of them is to bring in a member of the old Standards for England Brigade, who is now working as a self-employed guru somewhere, to the tune of £8,000 to try to do some retraining. I'm going to have to say to him that, I'll say to you, you will be wasting your money. And I tell you, the local authority won't pay for it. So if you're looking for the local authority to come, and here's a magic wand, I'm going to pull a white rabbit and attached to that is £8,000, it's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because Rotherham Metropolitan Borough Council, like Doncaster, like Sheffield, like Barnsley, like everywhere else, are skint. So they're not going to spend £8,000 on the troubles that you've got here. So they'll say to you, well, you pay it. You can't pay it because I know as well as you do that £8,000 out of the funds of Anston Parish Council is a thumping amount of cash. And you can't afford it because you're using it on stuff that you could use for the people of Anston, which is how it should be. So that's one question that's out. Comment was made about whether or not you can actually wind the parish council up. Well, in law you can. In practice it's a bit more difficult than that.
Do it.
Pickles, in his Secretary of State, since he's been Secretary of State, has heard 4 applications for winding up councils, of which 3 is thrown out. The other one he accepted because it had not been functioning for 4.5 years. So the chances of Pickles waving a magic wand over you and saying, okay, this is not going to, this parish council is going to wind up, it won't. Another thing that Pickles did say, and has said regularly, is that he will not see parishes unparished, his words, not mine. Neither would I want to do that, because you are the representation of you people and the rest of the people that live out there. So the other alternative is for an amalgamation to take place between one parish council and another, and I can imagine that might cause some problems too. Now then, that might not be an answer that you want, but what's happening is we're running out of ideas on what can happen. The best way for it to happen is to actually work together as a cohesive group of people, so that the people of Anston turn around at the annual meeting and say thank you, because then you know it's worked. At the minute, that's not happening. So my question to you, I'll come back to you, Councillor Thornton, in just a sec. My question to you is, I'm doing what I can do. If you don't want me about, cool, because I'm getting paid for this, and it's now 10 to 9 on a Monday night, and I've been in adjudication all day, and I'm tired. But I'm here because I want to resolve the issue. If you want to tell me to pick up my musket and scram, I'll pick it up and I'll scram. If you want me to say, actually, yeah, we want to stay around a bit, see if there's a way of making this work, I'll do it. But I will not sit here and listen to the dialogue that's going on between here and here. I won't do that anymore, because it's, you know what the Nolan principles of public life are. We've been through it all on training. And tonight, God bless everybody, you've bust every single one of them. Now then, if Lord Nolan put these principles down for good order in public life, and it seemed to work in other places, and it does, why can't it work here? What's stopping it working here?
Lack of respect on both sides.
I think there's some degree of truth in that. Well, I don't have said that, but whoever it was. But this, I think there's some degree of truth in that. So what do we do? What do we do? We are in an impasse. We don't want a person to come in for £8,000. We don't want it to wind up. There's a limit as to what can happen by Rotherham Metropolitan Borough Council. You're not going to get any help from the commissioners, and you're sat here where it turns out to be closed and anarchy at 7:30 on a Monday night. So what do we do? If I was you, I'd look for easy way out. And that is not necessarily like each other, respect each other for what you do, whether you're a councillor, whether you're a member of the public. Don't interrupt people as they're speaking. Defer to the chair. Make sure that people do, so that the chair does see you if you want to speak. Abide by the code of conduct that you have the parish council, and let's move on. Otherwise, we're going to be back here this time next year with the same answer and still no help from the commissioners. So that's where we are. Like it or lump it, that's where we are. And I'm fed up of it. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of sat down there listening to what I'm hearing. It becomes almost, and I'll say it, and you're going to criticise me for it, but I can live with that, it becomes almost childlike. And you are adults, all of you, responsible for all kinds of things, local authorities, families, all kinds of things. Why can't you just get on and get the business done? I'm done. That's it.
Can I just have a round of applause on these questions? I'd like to have a reply to what you've just said, Mr. Beale.
Yeah, I wasn't cutting you out, Stuart.
No, I understand what you're saying. Let's be open and honest, and make no secret of it. Myself and Mr. Beavers do not see eye to eye on quite a lot of things.
I agree.
And we've had quite a few ding-dong battles over the last 12 months. But I'd like to dispel some myths first. The first one is training. Yourself and Mrs. Collins are implying that we've had training. No such training took part. The evening we had training, it consisted of 4 paper handouts. I requested to discuss all the complaints that had been put before the Standards Committee. It wasn't allowed. The only thing we did was we decided we would open the tables up like they are now, and I think we changed the headline of the Parish Council Constitution. At that same meeting, there was Labour parish councillors sat there making comments about certain members of the public, and I found that quite offensive. That's the first thing. I don't believe there was any training. The second one is 35 complaints. I assure you, Mr. Beavers, there's more than 35 complaints. I've got 7 or 9 complaints, which partly included bullying, that I put before Mrs. Collins, and she even refused, because there was against Labour councillors, she refused to even consider that they were complaints. Let's go on further. Communication. There's a document we've got in here that says that the independent person, Mrs. Collins, has been working extensively with this council. There's been some work, I'll admit that, but there's been absolutely no communication between Mrs. Collins and this parish council. The chairman made a statement at a meeting you attended. He said he had not, I think at that stage there was something like 15 or 16 complaints. The chairman hadn't been informed of one of them. The chairman still hasn't been informed of the 30 or nearly 40 complaints that have been made on this council. The council is not aware of all the complaints that are going on. The other one is, there's a recommendation, I think it's after the election, that they bring outside mediators into the council to sort out the problems. And it will probably cost in the region of 8,000. Well, let me say from my personal opinion, if that's going to cost us £8,000, I believe that's because it's an abject failure by Mrs. Collins to resolve standards issues around this table. 35 complaints. I'll admit, I've had 4 complaints made against me. 3 of them are now going forward to 2 of them are going forward to the panel for a possible investigation. One you've heard tonight and seen the shambles that's happened tonight. Yet that leaves 31 complaints against members of the council around this table, and not one of them has been investigated. That's not fair, that's bias. And let's go on to the next one. You said to me, do you think if you want us to say to you, scram and leave? Well, I'm open and I'm honest. I've always been honest with you. I think that what your intentions over the years were good, or so the last couple of years were good, it's failed. Because I don't believe you've worked with us enough. It's failed objectively, and from my perspective, I don't see any reason why you should stay. That's
absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. You're just one voice. We'll see what the others have to say.
Well, they're not saying nothing. That's the problem.
Yes.
Can I say, why can't we get any justice, democracy, from a council that's been told they're not fit for purpose?
I don't understand. Tell me I don't understand what you mean.
Well, the public will tell you they're not getting the complaints answered. I've had my complaints answered.
I am not here to support the Standards Board of Rotherham Metropolitan Borough Council. I can't do that. I'm independent. If I was supporting them, the next thing you'd say is, well, you're on their side, and I'm not. I'm totally independent. If you have an issue with complaints either you believe not being heard or not being adjudicated upon, if that's what you believe, then there is a course of action you can take to have that addressed. But I have to say, it's not through me.
There's no system of people. Who is it through?
Well, the local authority has a chief executive.
I've complained to him. He's gone now.
Well, the local authority will have I don't know whether he's got another chief executive yet, has he? Has he got another chief executive? But that would be a rule, because the monitoring officer's line manager is the chief executive of the council. So he is representative of the council and her employer. So he, in line management, would be the person you would go to. And I'm not saying that because I don't want to deal with it. I'm saying that because I can't.
Mr. Beers, I'll back up what Stuart's saying here. After those 35 reports, I've only had 2.
Well, as I say...
And they were 2 that I made.
Then then I would say the same to you, Chair, as I've just said to the gentleman here, Councillor Jarvis, that there is a course of action that you must take. But I really mustn't become involved in that.
Yeah, just a comment.
Mr Beavers, I'd like to thank you for your time and your commitment to this council.
Yeah,
and
so
I'd like to suggest that perhaps when the new council takes its place in May, it may look different to the way it looks now, and that it's possible that ongoing work may or may not be required at that point. So we are at the tail end of the 4 years.
Yeah, I think you must be psychic, really. And the reason I'm saying that is because the suggestion was made by the chair of the Standards Board that because we are now so close to the ballot box, and because things may or may not change as a result of that, then for me to ask if I could come back on that first meeting of the new council to say hello and offer any help that they think I may be able to offer. And I will do that. I will do that.
Can I just ask a final question? I mean, you've seen the hoo-ha that went on tonight, and basically I will be watching the tape back very carefully because I believe there was another kangaroo court tonight. Can I just ask your opinion? There's Councillor Wardle, Councillor Brindley, Councillor Dalton, all involved in that complaint against me, and I've made some serious accusations tonight. Yet they was all voting tonight against me to punish me without declarations of interest. Do you think that's correct?
I can't answer that question.
No, but this is the problem. You won't answer questions, and Mrs. Collins won't answer questions.
But I can't.
And that's why we're in the problem we've got now.
But I can't. I can't answer the question.
Right, you keep saying you can't, but you're reporting to Mrs. Collins. With Mrs. Collins, you're making reports to the Standards Committee about this parish council. You say you can't get involved, but you are involved. You're at the back taking notes and then reporting to the Standards Committee. But what your reports to the Standards Committee, they're not public. They're done in secret session because they're not published in the minutes. If people are more open, more honest, things might get solved.
Tell me how you think I'm making reports.
Well, you just look at the minutes. It said there was a report by Mr. Beavers to the Standards Committee. That's all it says. And
But that wasn't to the monitoring officer.
No, well, just read the minutes because
that wasn't the monitoring. She's not a member of it.
No, you didn't hear what I said. I said the independent person made a report to the Standards Committee. Right. So could I ask you then, why are them documents? Why are your reports not made public?
It's a straightforward verbal report. I'm simply asked at the meeting by the chair when the agenda gets round to Anston, and I'm simply asked what's happening.
Right, yeah, I understand that. But what happens is every time you come here and say you want to work with us, I want to do this, I want to do that. I honestly believe when you first come in here you were genuine. I honestly believe that. But the problems have not been resolved because nobody will stand up and nobody will say publicly what the problems are. And it's not just one person, it's lots of people.
The problems are.
No, there's nobody addressing
through the chair.
It's interrupting me again.
I know, I'm deliberately interrupting because I've heard Councillor Thornton all evening. I am very tired. And one of the problems is quite clear.
Can we just settle down a minute? Settle down.